Why is that the best feeling? That's the kind of instant gratification I like. I'm telling you, coffee is life. I need to invest in like a coffee bean farm or something. Hell, if I would have done that in my 20s, I'd be a millionaire by now. You live and you learn. Oh, man, it's so good. It's just some crappy Folgers. Is Folgers crappy? I think Folgers is tried and true, honey. That's what Mama drank. And she lived through the Great Depression and like 2 or 3 wars. So I feel like that's the preferred coffee of struggling people. Folgers. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your flipping cup. I need my phone. Y'all, this chair is getting on my nerves. Like, I'm literally going to go to the Goodwill and find a chair. I'm so annoyed at this chair. Good morning, y'all. I hope y'all are doing well. I am ready for the weekend. I'm excited to have some fun this weekend. So we're going to have like a morning talk at 2. Oh, God, maybe. Here we go. I'm tired, you guys. If I'm being completely honest. I slept good, but this week has really like just been a lot, you know, with everything I'm going through. It's just been a lot. It absolutely takes a toll when people are out here trying to kill you. It's so crazy. My lips are dry. I just took a shower. That's always a good day when you can wash your ass. Why is my computer coming on? I need the other phones. Where they at? There's one. There's one. Coffee always helps. Good morning, y'all. It's Friday. It's freezing here in the South Central. It's 60 degrees. That's freezing. Not literally, but like if you're living on the streets, it is. If you're living on the streets, it is. That's no sleep. You won't be able to sleep because of the cold elements. It's impossible. Anything under 65 degrees, it's going to be extremely hard to sleep at night. You're going to need some kind of like comforter, like a sleeping bag, because it's like that cold. You cannot sleep out there. And then most of the time you're sleeping on concrete anyways. So that's going to make your body ultra cold down to the bones. It literally hurts. Even at 60 degrees, 50s, 60s, it literally aches the body. And Lord forbid if you have any ailments, like you have arthritis or you have any kind of, you've broken bones in the past. You know how when it gets cold, they start to ache. All of that takes a toll out there. Sure does. Wow. You want to hear something crazy? So y'all know the little boy in Minnesota, the woman Hendricks that was arrested for calling this little boy a racial slur. She called him the N-word. Do you know what he was stealing out of her diaper bag? Take a wild guess. Food. That tells a story. So we have an autistic child, okay, who is caught stealing applesauce out of this infant's diaper bag. The woman calls him the N-word. It goes viral. Fast forward a couple of months, she's arrested for disorderly conduct, which is a misdemeanor charge. It won't stick. There's no way that it can. by law, she has every right to say whatever she wants to say. Hopefully the Supreme Court, they haven't had the best track record in recent years, so we'll see what happens. My prediction is that, 10, 20 years from now, we will not have the right to say what we feel or what we think. That's what happened in the UK, and that's what's happening here. The censorship that comes from platforms is loud and clear, and now we have a woman being arrested for using the N-word. And, that's a whole story in itself. The child stealing applesauce. Where was its parents? Its parents wasn't at the playground. A pedophile had been hired to watch these children. He was a community overwatcher of children, and he was a registered pedophile. No parents, and now we have an autistic, whatever they want to call him. Everybody's got autism nowadays, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Autistic or not, those children know right from wrong as well. He stole a pouch of applesauce. So now the plot thickens. I already alleged neglect, and here we have a child stealing food on a playground when a child should be busy playing. Don't most children at around the age of 8, which they're alleging was this child's age, most children at 8 years old, the last thing on their mind is food. Think about it. Think about your 8-year-old niece, daughter. They want to go play. That child must have been really hungry to be on a playground looking for food instead of playing with other children. And where was his parents? Nowhere in sight. I'm sorry, but I'd be darned if I let any of my children go hang out with a pedophile on a playground, much less my autistic son. And it's very telling that this child was stealing applesauce. It tells a story. It's crazy. So not only do I believe this child was being neglected and abused at home, because he's out here in the street stealing applesauce on a playground and he's 8. His attention span is set up for the bright colors in the grass and the trees and the children. That child must have been really hungry to be out there stealing applesauce. Once again, I don't care about the N-word. She's allowed to say it. And I actually debated if I wanted to come on here and pull some shenanigans this morning just to prove a point. I need this job. I need this job. People need to start focusing on the principle of these stories and not the buffoonery and the smoke and the mirrors that comes with them. Let me tell you something. When the war on words takes place, which it is, when it really, the fits hits the shan, that goes both ways. That means if you're in the streets talking about white people or Mexican people, your ass is going to be behind bars too, Karen. Keisha. Do you get it? Our thoughts, our opinions, our words are being taken in small little ways behind the scene. And that's exactly what happened in the UK. Look at them now. You can't even post on Facebook without fear of going to jail for something frivolous. I love bacon. You want to go to jail for loving, I don't know, shrimp? It's crazy. It's crazy. People are so hung up and offended by the N-word that they say every day. It's just so stupid. So stupid. It really is just so stupid. So it looks like she's actually looking at 90 days in jail. She has children. She has had to relocate. She was the victim of a crime. Okay? This is crazy. Crazy. So I don't know if she's gotten out of jail. I keep looking up to see if she's gotten out of jail, and it will not tell me if she's gotten out of jail. So I don't know if she's out. I'm assuming that she made bond because her bond was like $1,000 for this misdemeanor charge. It's absolutely horrible. I mean, she's been through enough. And like, just why? Riddle me this, Batman. Why is all the women out here making these stances? We got the brave little girl out of Scotland looking like Braveheart. We got Hendricks over here standing up for our rights to speech and standing on ground. What is going on out here? This is like the men's job. Like, y'all should be on the forefront of like, whoa, wait a minute. Like, you're trying to take rights to speech, rights to defense, rights to our weapons. I wonder how many people here in America would just hand over their firearms if the government did those, what they call them, amnesty events. It's where the government asked the citizens to relinquish their firearms. And, you know, they did it in droves in the UK. And you know what? Now you can't even own a firearm for defense purposes. Did you know that? Yeah, it only took about 130 years to get there. How old is America? If that happened in the UK, they were able to take their guns, their rights to words, their First Amendment rights to speech, and to defense. How long do you think it's going to take here? Because it's already started. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And you know whose guns they need to be taken is all these damn school shooters. This shit is getting ridiculous. Listen to this. So I was right. I did a psychological, I'm going to start calling it what it is. I did a psychological assessment analysis of the school shooter out of Minnesota yesterday, and everything I said was correct. And this was before any information even come out about his family history, about his history with the LGBTQ plus, his trans history. I did a psych eval on him analysis, and I was right in everything I said. He is, in fact, angry at mommy and daddy. Mommy was the main pusher of this LGBTQ plus nonsense. And, you know, riddle me this, Batman. How do you work in a Christian school for, what, like 20 years, and then you jump on the LGBT bandwagon and you allow your son to become a female when you run or work in a Christian school? This is a hard stop. This is what we need to stop. We need to start with identifying what is right and what's wrong. Christians cannot support the LGBTQ plus. Christians cannot support abortion. There's certain things that Christians do and Christians don't do, and God is very specific in his word. How do you become brainwashed in a Catholic school? So I told you guys yesterday that it was my belief that he absolutely hated his transition, that he was not happy in his body, that he was confused, and he was spiraling. All of that was true. He has multiple videos talking about how in his manifesto also, I mean, there's so much there. There's like a note for the family. There's the manifesto. There's other stuff that was loaded on YouTube as he was committing this shooting, as he was killing a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, along with injuring, I do believe, 17 other people. YouTube, he had set up on YouTube to drop these videos and to release these manifestos. And so at the same time that he's committing this shooting, all of this information is being uploaded to YouTube. He was not happy with his transition. So as I alleged, pretty much what happened is at 17, he started the hormones and stuff. We don't know when he started the hormones. We know when he had the name change. That was back in 2020 when he was 17 years old. His mother, who worked at the Catholic school, she signed for him to do this. After he went through this changed his name, started taking hormones, he still didn't look like a woman. And this is a problem. And this is, in my opinion, this is why this is so dangerous. You lead these children, I'm going to call them what they are. I don't care if they're 25, they're still children. You lead these children to believe that they're going to be happier if they make this change. But then they make this change, but they don't look now like a male or a female. That is going to cause body dysmorphia to be 10 times worse. And what we have through science confirms that. Anyone with body dysmorphia should not be messing with their body in this manner. It's going to make these mental health problems worse. And let me tell you what happened. So Robert felt like Robin, and he changed to Robin, but Robin looked like Robert. We've seen his mugshot. I don't need to show you. He looks like a man, but feminine. There's this softness to him. He was absolutely angry at the fact of what had been done to him. He did not know how to reconcile the situation because at this point he's half man, half woman. He's also on SSRIs, other mental health drugs, and he started to spiral. You know, he has this pressure to be part of the cool kids club by being part of the LGBTQ plus, and then he has his mama in his ear, and then his daddy in his ear. Listen, I don't support the LGBTQ plus, but I feel horrible for this child. Apparently, he's been a guinea pig most of his life. His father was CIA for over 20 years. You know, that's no coincidence. This shit's weird. It's really weird. It's no coincidence. It's sad. This poor kid killed people. But this kid was out here with two loving parents who, in my opinion, ignored him. They were more worried about their career and what they had going on the father's side than the child. And the mother seemed only concerned with Robert when she was trying to brainwash him for notoriety in her own community. Makes me sick. Once again, how do you run a Christian school for 20 years and then you support this demonic behavior? The mutilation of children whose brains are not even developed yet. Let's see what's new. Yeah, so I was right. I'm getting so good at this. I really probably should get my record expunged and go work for the FBI. I mean, I called it yesterday. Everything I said. As soon last night when they started like dropping information, I was like rolling on the ground because I was like, how am I always this right? And I didn't know anything. Like, yeah, he was not happy. He was mad. He talks about how he talks about how angry he was at being brainwashed. And he says in that manifesto that he was brainwashed. It's sad. You know, he absolutely had rage for God. And let me tell you something. He could have been saved. Those children didn't have to die. With the right clinical psychologist, they would have been able to pick up on what was going on. Somebody should have been there for him. Why is it that they give them these hormones, they do these sex changes, and then they send them out to the street, and it's like these people, they're kind of just left to fend on their own. It's like they take the money. They're like, oh, hope you're happy with your new vagina. Thanks for the 70 grand. Good luck. Make sure you dilate. And then they leave them to fend for themselves. In my opinion, and I'm not a medical provider or a doctor, I've never been to medical school. In my opinion, we're going to do a sex change on somebody, we would want to do that over a certain age, probably around over 25, to make sure that the person actually has obtained identity. See, this is the problem. These children have no identity, and then you're messing with their identity, and now they're out here killing innocent children. Identity is imperative to stability in life. Okay, if you don't know who you are, what you stand for, what morals you have, this is the byproduct of what happened. Robert didn't deserve this. And he could have been saved. He could have been saved. He was screaming for help. To make the admissions that he made, you don't see trans people making those admissions. But it's crazy because all of these things tie together. All of these trans people that are actually out here committing these shootings, it's just so been found out that the majority of them were on SSRIs. I posted a clip this morning. Alex Jones actually discovered that Robert Westman's dad was CIA. And then in the same short, they showed a post of the stats. And you can see it on my shorts. It's from Matt Walsh. Thanks, Matt. It's so funny because yesterday I was like, I need to compile a list of all these school shooters. And then I wake up this morning and there's a stat. There's a chart. I was like, oh, great. All my work's been done for me. Thanks, Matt. And it shows on there that the top 2 school shooters right now are trans kids. Trans men that changed into women. and trans women that tried to change into men. Those are the two top active school shooters in the United States currently. It's crazy. We have more people committing mass acts of murder from those two categories of people than any other race of people or categories of people. Do you get what I'm saying? It's crazy. You know, there's absolutely a mental health, in my opinion. There's absolutely a mental health drug correspondence to these crimes. There's a link, in my opinion. The majority, and if you see that short, if you click at the bottom, you can watch Matt's. He had like a 20-minute episode, and he actually breaks down 6 or 7 different school shooters that was on SSRIs and mental health drugs and that were trans kids. So this seems to be Robert Westman, Audrey from the Covenant school shooting in Tennessee, and there was another one. They all had this appreciation. I don't know what to call it. It's not good. But they all had this obsession with Columbine and other school shooters. It's really just disturbing to me how children even get into something like that. It really shows a lack of parents. How do children get into stuff like that? Their parents aren't there. Their parents aren't present. They're there, but they're not present. For example, I grew up in a home where my father was present, but he was not a father. So, you know, you can be physically with your children and not be a parent to your children. That's the kind of house I grew up in. That's why I've had to be my own parent for the past 30 years. But seriously, it's like they're present, but they're not, you know? And his dad was FBI, and then his mom's working at the school. Let's see if there's anything new. Good morning, Israel. The what information? Hold on. Hold on, I gotta look that one up. Are you sure about that? I don't even know what that means. You sure about that? Hold on. First of all, what in the Carrot Top 1996 is going on? I feel so bad for this kid. He needed a parent, not to be force-fed lies from the damn tablecloth in an attempt to make money. You know what sucks? You know what sucks? He was a beautiful boy. He was look at his bone structure. He was a beautiful boy. Can we let them grow up before, I mean, can we stop feeding them lies from the tablecloth in general? He was a handsome boy. Why are you messing with him? I mean, there he looks crazy. That was in the prime of him losing his mind. So, sorry, I just woke up. I like crap. I'm one to be talking about people, right? I look like Carrot Top too this morning. This was his mama. And I just got to say, as soon as I seen this, I said, yep, she's the type. How do I know from the outside? That's the mama that turned Robert into Robin after she worked in a Christian school for 20-something years. Don't she look like the type? Sure does. Sure does. Usual suspects of brainwashing and leftist propaganda when it comes to children. I mean, she's giving Jazz Jennings' mother vibes. Look again. It's ridiculous. He was so angry at her. He was so mad at, you know, what she had done to him and his manifesto. So then there's that. So it looks like right here I have the chart. It's mass shooting rates by demographic from 2015 to 2025. And this is public incidents with 4 or more fatalities expressed as rates per million population. And as you can see at the very top, there is trans biological male and trans biological female. Those are the top 2 shooters in the United States currently over any other demographic of people. That includes white males, black males, Asian females. I'm so glad that Matt found this. So that's from Matt Walsh. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is a problem, and it's going to be a bigger problem in upcoming years. These children have made some kind of pact together to go out this way and to kill as many innocent children and victims as they can in their path before they take themselves out. This has become some sort of, seriously, I'm being for real. This has become some pact these kids are doing together, and it's out of love of other mass shooters like Columbine, like Eric Smith and the other guy, I can't remember his name. But by the way, we learned yesterday, Columbine, Eric Smith actually was on SSRIs along with other mental health drugs. So this actually stems back for generations. Not only that, we actually found multiple studies showing that SSRIs, the main side effects are violence and suicidal tendencies. And those things should never be given to anyone that already has violence and suicidal tendencies. And they absolutely do prescribe these drugs to children that have already displayed these types of behaviors, and they just ignore it. But there's research that supports the theory that SSRIs actually create violent offenders and suicidal tendencies. Studies have shown this for 20, 30 years, but instead of following the data and the science and maybe sitting down with children and starting to understand them and allowing them to vent and allowing them to have a safe space, let's just shove drugs down their throat. I was the first generation for that, by the way. Yeah, they started me on stuff like that when I was, I don't know, 92. I had to have been 4, 5. So it's actually a miracle that I'm even sane, somewhat stable. Because I could have been an Eric Smith or a Robert Westman. You know, it's crazy because when I was on those drugs as a kid, it absolutely made me more suicidal. I had several suicide attempts. I was a cutter, had an eating disorder. Every time they would change my meds, those things would get worse. It's crazy. I feel bad for Robert. I know he killed people. But we need to remember that back in 2020, Robert was a child. And his parents were not good parents. They were abusive. At the very least, they were neglectful. They pushed his mother, pushed this leftist ideology onto him, wanting him to transition into a woman. He did it. He was dissatisfied with his sex change. He was confused. And I'm sorry, 23 is still a child. His brain was not even developed yet. His femur was not developed. The prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for decision making, impulse control, rational behavior. I see both sides. He killed children. He's probably in hell right now. It's sad that he was used and abused by his own family to go down this road, and they allowed this to happen to him. I see both sides. I want to have these serious conversations because he could have been saved. With the right therapist and clinical, he would have been saved. But they were more concerned about making money rather than listening to him and what he needed. Even after he transitioned, he wanted to start detransitioning. Do you know how hard that is in a clinical setting, in a doctor setting? Once you've transitioned, that's the last thing medical providers want to hear, is that you want to detransition. So they stop listening. And then these children's mental health start to spiral. And then they're out here. It's sad. I see both sides, you know. This transition, no kids should be transitioning. That's a hard stop. How do we stop this from happening? We put laws in place to protect children. No child needs a sex change. Anyone under the age of, I don't know, 20, 25, they absolutely, this is a hard stop. Yeah. Good morning, Mickey. Brian. He said he was tired of being trans and himself that he was brainwashed. Yep. Yep, that's what he said. He said he was not happy with his decision to become a woman. And he said that he didn't feel like a man or a woman, which is what I said yesterday. I said, I bet you he... There's a video from yesterday where I did, I mean, it would be a psychological analysis. And it's so crazy because I hit the nail right on the head. So I said he was angry about his sex change. He wanted to detransition, that he probably had mommy issues. All of these things are true. I went into like more in depth, but it's really sad. A lot of these kids are doing this. A lot of these kids are turning violent. It's because of the medications, in my opinion. I need to put on a nicotine patch. I really have got to start focusing on stop smoking. I already sound like a damn steam engine. I sound like John from Kate Plus 8. Remember when she was like, stop breathing on me? And she, do y'all remember that? How cold. What a meanie. Girl, no wonder y'all's marriage didn't work out. She was like, it was Kate with that short bob, you know, the mom's pixie from the early 2000s. And it's her and John, and they're sitting in this shared chair. And John's breathing real hard, and Kate's like, will you stop breathing like that? She's like, you're like, and she impersonates him. Oh my God. If you ever wonder why their marriage didn't work out, Jesus. You know, look at this one more time. This is his driver's license photo. He was such a handsome boy. And his mama messed him up. Yeah, I know. Eve, I know. And Elon said that, you know, he was forced to sign papers for his trans son, who is now a female. So the story on that is Elon Musk has a trans son from his first wife. God, what was her name? Anyways, Elon's son changed to a female, and him and Elon does not, or her and Elon does not talk anymore. But Elon was told when this ordeal started, when the sex change or the talk about transitioning started, Elon was told that his son's life depended on it. Yeah, he talks about this in an interview with Jordan Peterson that's here on YouTube. Elon describes medical providers, clinical psychologists, doctors, nurses telling him that if he does not allow this sex change, that there's a chance that his son might take his own life. Do you understand that that's a blatant lie? That's actually the opposite of what medical research actually shows us. Medical research actually says it's detrimental to children to allow them to transition. It's crazy. It's crazy. And Elon talks about how he himself was brainwashed into believing that this was in the best interest of his son to turn into a female. And now Elon doesn't even have a relationship with his new daughter. They've completely cut off contact. Elon calls this son the son he lost because of this situation. But he was told by medical professionals and the mother that the son would commit suicide if he didn't. That's crazy. Crazy talk. Crazy talk. You know, I think people don't understand that, like, when we have medical research that says one thing and then we have a medical provider saying something else, that's absolutely medical malpractice. To have a medical provider lied to a parent about a procedure or the side effects of something, that's medical malpractice. For those that don't know, I'm telling you what it is. Okay? I'm not a doctor. I just know law. Thank you so much. Cash, good morning. Ashes to ashes. I think it is. I think it is. Eve, see that? How old was the person in their 20s? Like 20 what? They were very suicidal before the transition. Now they're not suicidal anymore. Some people need to transition. Look at people like Blair White. She's living a successful transition. That's what she wanted to do, but she made that decision to do that. She's a successful candidate for transitioning. Like she's nailed it. Thank you so much, Cash. There's other people. If you're coming to troll, I'm just going to block you. I rent this space to work, so pay attention so I can make more money to pay this rent next month so I can work some more. I do not live here. Mind your businesses. Be grateful that I have an office space to work so I can make money for food, so I can get myself off the streets. Good morning, Cash. Thank you so much. Some people will need a transition, especially people that have severe body dysmorphia. But this would be after 10 or 20 years of trying talk therapy and everything else. We don't just jump to that. That's the last thing we do. There's so much that we can do before cutting off someone's body parts. And, you know, those slow things that we would do before we start mutilating the body to do a transition, those little things will determine whether or not a patient is a good candidate to transition at all. So they're not even doing the pre-work before they're just putting these kids on these hormones and throwing them out there. This is not the way we do stuff. Just like when a person, let's say I was bipolar. Might be. I'm not. I've been tested. Let's say a person was bipolar. We don't just put a person on mental health drugs and send them on their way. Absolutely not. There's all of this work that we do before therapy. And while on the medication, there's work that we do on the medication as well. Anyone that's receiving mental health drugs without any other work, that's medical malpractice. Same thing goes for these kids when it comes to not doing all of the pre-work to determine whether or not they're actually a good candidate for transitioning. It's crazy. It's crazy. And then Robert over here done killed 2 children at a Catholic school while they was praying, church school. And people are like, why? And then they'll talk about it for 2 days and then they'll forget about it. And then there'll be another trans kid out here shooting up another school next week, Lord forbid. And he'll come back around again. Nobody wants to have the real talk about it. Learn what truth, honey? Anything you know or you think you know about me, I'm the one that told you, you dumbass. Good morning, Lisa. Oh, God. Imagine you've been on YouTube for years and people just finally find you and they think they know something that you're the one released. You're the one that told the world. Oh, my God. It's crazy. Y'all, for people that are new here, they're going to tell you I'm a horrible person. I'm a child abuser. I'm a drug addict. I sell drugs. I manufacture drugs. They're going to tell you everything. Please. Just laugh with me. Just laugh with me. Oh, God. I ain't never seen a drug addict look this good, honey. Ever. So funny. Yeah, so oh my God, I got to tell y'all about this story. This is so crazy. Hold on, all right, so let me just start from the beginning. Let me find it. I don't know what happened. Exactly. A slow progression. So they dressed as your preferred gender before they could have hormones, and they had to be on hormones for 2 years before the surgery. Yeah. You know why? That's to make sure that they don't turn into Robin and start shooting up schools. This is why we have clinical psychologists, therapists, and nurses in these places, that they're supposed to be making sure that the patient is progressing. I'm sorry. When's the last time you saw a trans patient progressing positively? I'm waiting. It's crazy. I mean, and it's so much deeper than just the trans community. This actually starts with the mental health community, which I'm not going to get into today. But like, all systems are down. Medical malpractice is taking place in this country at a rate that you would not believe. From trans care to mental health services. It's all just big farm. How many people can we get on drugs? As many drugs as possible. How many drugs can we get this patient on? There's no therapy. There's no patient care. There's no, outpatient care. No one's checking up on these people unless they need a refill. We have 41 million Americans out here with their own concoctions of mental health drugs, most of which, in my opinion, they don't need. It's crazy. Anyways, listen to this. So I ran across this article where this man met this teenage girl on Plenty of Fish. I can't find the name. He decides that he's going to swing by her high school and pick her up. And he does. He walks into the office. He signs her out of school. And then he goes and has sex with her. She was 16. They met on Plenty of Fish. He rolled up to the high school. He rolled into the principal's office. He said, yeah, I'm here to pick up Heather Brooke. They said, yeah, let us call her down. Heather Brooke, please report to the principal's office. Your brother's here to pick you up. They roll off. They have sex. He signed her out of school to go rape her. Sure did. I can't even find the article. Man gets kid. Yeah, the fact that he was even able to sign her out and they were not able to. Yeah, so his name is Kevin Talley Jr. He's accused of picking up a 16-year-old schoolgirl from Kirby High School. He posed as a family member to check this kid out of school. The suspect, 23-year-old Kevin Talley Jr., is accused of picking up a 16-year-old student after he allegedly pretended to be her brother. The affidavit shows that Talley then drove to an unknown location and engaged in sexual acts with the child. Afterwards, Memphis police say that the suspect drove to Walgreens to get money out of an ATM, but he then allegedly refused and attempted to leave the teen, but she jumped back in the car. You want to hear the craziest part of this? This kid was actually prostituting herself. Yeah. She knew what was going on. And she actually demanded money from him for this sex act. You cannot make this stuff up. Hold on one second. So they have sex. He says, all right, I need to drive to the Walgreens to get you some money. He goes into the Walgreens. He can't get any money out of the ATM. He then tries to leave her in the Walgreens parking lot. Can I just reiterate that she is a 16-year-old high school student and he is 23. He has done went to her school, signed her out of school. He was pretending to be her brother, got her out of school, had sex with her. She then demands money, and I think they had some prearrangement through POF, and because they've been chatting. He can't get money out of the ATM. She gets mad. He tries to push her out of the car. She jumps back in the car in the Walgreens parking lot. He's accused of then dropping the child off at Kirby High, where she told deputies about the sexual act and Talley's refusal to pay her $60 that he allegedly promised. So you're going to tell a cop that you were selling that. It's like people that buy fake drugs and then they call the cops and they're like, this ain't real meth. Or they call the called cops to help them look for their drugs, or, somebody crapped them on drug money or something. It's like, what are these people thinking? I mean, she is a 16-year-old child, and I just want to be clear. This is sad. This is really sad. So she's out here selling that thing on POF, getting men to sign her out of school so she can sell ass. This is crazy. So he was charged with statutory rape. And he said he didn't know she was 16. Sir, you had to go get her out of school. If you don't stop, you a damn fool if you think we believe that. Lord. He had to go check her out to high school. He talking about, I didn't know she was a juvenile. Sir, this is not a rest home. Like, what the hell? Both of them need to be under the jail. First of all, I don't know what that child's been through, but the fact that she's out here trying to sell that thing on POF and getting signed out of high school and behaving like this already, it's a huge red flag. No doubt she's been through tremendous sexual abuse in her life, in my opinion. Yeah. So she's the one that actually called the cops. The 16-year-old called. I'm looking at it here. She actually called the cops because he didn't pay her the $60 after she had sex with him. Y'all, is it me, or is just things just really wild out here? Like, I really thought that this girl had been kidnapped from school. I mean, and listen, let me be clear. Kids cannot consent to, she can't consent. So it is rape. But it sounds like she was willing to do this for the $60 that she was promised. How flippin' sad. Is that what ass? I told y'all that was the only thing that did not inflate. I told y'all. $60. Jesus Christ. Everything else inflated. You know what didn't? Sex. It actually dropped in price. I don't get it. You know why? Because their income is directly impacted by everybody else's income. Everybody's broke. Prostitutes ain't even making money right now. They had to cut the cost of their ass just to get customers in there. Yeah. I'm not even joking in the slightest. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So sad. And like, I wonder what her parents said. How do you confront that situation when she walks through the door? Crazy. Derry, good morning. Good morning. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, it's crazy. I was like, what you mean she was willingly doing that? Good morning. Y'all, I ain't even ate yet. I need to. I need to go buy a chair. I need to go buy a chair because this thing's getting on my nerves. You know, it's so funny because I've seen other creators and videos that like would talk about how squeaky their chair was, and it never. And now here I am. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I need a chair. Good morning, Miss GT500. I'm like, yes, I need a chair. Y'all, my hand's starting to feel better, but I definitely messed it up. Yeah, so apparently that Robert Westman guy also, I found this interesting. He also hated blacks, Jews. It says it right here. It says some of his journals were connected, and it appears that he hated all groups, including blacks, Christians, Jews, Mexicans, and more. Officials have said the shooter appeared to hate all of us. Ain't that crazy? Wasn't that I thought the LGBTQ plus loved everybody. I thought they was all inclusive. Ain't it crazy? Ain't it crazy? No, not him being the racist. Yeah, Robert Westman, the shooter from Minneapolis. Good morning. I'm actually about to run. No, I haven't been here long, but yeah. I got stuff to do today. I wish I didn't. I wish I didn't. Why is it that when you're like in your 20s, you're like, oh, I'm an adult. And then you hit your 30s, you're like, oh my God, I was so young in my 20s. You know, what? You know, when you're 20, you're like, I'm not a child, I'm an adult. And then you get to 30 and you're like, oh God, I was so cute. Like, you know what I mean? And like, why do people get so offended about age? It bothers me that it bothers people. Like, why do you care? 20 or 50, why do you care? I mean, if you get to 50, you should be grateful because a lot of people don't make it there. So, why do people care about age so much though? Like it's part of the journey. I don't know. You know why I think? Because they're not happy in general. I feel like if you can get to a place where you're happy with yourself and your identity, you don't really stress much about stuff like that. Like I'm looking forward to aging. I can't wait till I can just like, I don't know, sit on the porch all day and face no consequences. If I did that at 30, people would be like, she's lazy. Like you can't do that at 30. You know, you can't do that at 30. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to being old. I can't wait to go to the casinos. And I don't know. Do I want to go on cruises? Hell no. No, I don't want to go on a cruise. I don't know. I just want to be laying in the sand somewhere with a pineapple in my hand with Malibu in it. You know, I do. I think people worry about age because they lack identity. Sucks. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. Christ is king. Jesus is the best. I feel so sad for all those children. Did y'all see that one of those little boys, his name was Victor, he actually jumped on top of one of his friends under the pew, and Victor was actually hit in the back by a bullet in Minneapolis. They had the little boy on the news. He was like, my friend saved me. He was like, he's so cute. He's like, he jumped on my back, and he was like, then he was hit, and he's in the hospital, and he survived, you know. You know, with an injury like that, it could cause long-term damage. I hope that all of the people, the other 17 survivors, I hope that they have a full, complete recovery to be sitting there praying. You know, I will say that when they were taking the children out the school, there's footage of all of these children and youth leaders and pastors and teachers, because this was a Christian school and church. It was a 2-in-1. And you can see all of these children being led out of the church. I was actually surprised at how quick those children moved. If this was public school, it would have been completely different. Ah! We would have been having to pull kids out the rafters and stuff before we could even get out the building. Like we got to find all the kids before we can even rush them out the the school. Like those kids were moving, and those youth leaders were pushing those children out of that school building, trying to get them away from the gunfire. And I was actually surprised at how quick those children were able to move, because they're kids. They don't move very quick, not unless they want to. You know, randomly. Like when you tell them to move. Imagine though. I mean, just imagine being that teacher in that situation and bullets come flying through the church glass. It's your responsibility to get those children to safety. Mass panic, horrific. The images that I've saw of parents reuniting with their children, it literally gives me chill bumps. So sad. Yeah, ain't it crazy though how these trans kids, they're taking their anger and dissatisfaction with themselves out on the public? Isn't it crazy how they're targeting churches, schools that are Christian schools? It's like, I mean, this is an attack on God. Imagine being led down the wrong path by your family, but in the back of your mind thinking, oh, God's probably real. And if you know anything about science, then you know that there's more science to support that Jesus Christ existed than not. And if you're a smart person with any kind of intellectual capabilities, you know that. You know what the science says about Jesus Christ. To have that in the back of your head because you were raised in a Christian school, and then to be brainwashed into being someone else that you then don't even feel like you are, um, it's really crazy. You know, it's really crazy to me how these kids are targeting schools and churches, and God is playing a huge part in this. And I think it's because they're having an internal battle. I do. I think that they subconsciously know that Jesus Christ exists, but they're living in this physical evil ass world that's telling them that they need to be this person, to be one of the cool kids, or to be part of the cult. And it's an internal battle. I feel bad for these kids. What they're doing is absolutely evil. They deserve to go to prison or hell. But, you know, like I said, I'm trying to bring back compassion and empathy, and understanding why these children are doing this is a good place to start to prevent this stuff from continuing to happen. You know, this is the conversation that we haven't been allowed to have for a decade now, as we watch children being stuffed full of hormones, mental health drugs, going through sex changes. We ain't been able to have these conversations. You were labeled transphobic or, you know, whatever. We haven't been able to have these conversations. I'm glad to see that these conversations are started. And I hope that they continue, because this level of medical malpractice is now putting us all in danger. I don't know about you, but, you know, I worry about my kids going to school. I really do. Every single day. It crosses my mind. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. And it can all be prevented if we actually just take care of the children from the start. You know, these children were used as political pawns. And now they're out here killing each other, killing us, killing the children. Yeah. A little bit of empathy and compassion, understanding, and more of these conversations. Definitely. I'm going to go make some lunch, y'all. I'm hungry. I didn't even have breakfast yet, so I guess it's going to be a brunch. Grateful. Thank you, Derry. You too. You too. Age like wine, not like milk. Y'all, I'm gonna go make something to eat. We might get outside later. I would like to be outside, but honestly, it's cold. It's 60-something degrees. So that's not an option when it's freezing. That is cold to me. I love you guys, and please pray for me. And I'm praying for you guys, and we'll talk.